Good afternoon, comic fans. Welcome back to Comics in 5 Minutes. I am your ever-loving host, Shorty, and two again in a day. What's going on? What's going on? Just too many comic books come out. And this is one that I actually ordered myself. I ordered it a while ago because I'm a fan of horror stuff. I'm a fan of the Conjuring movies. They were doing a Conjuring comic book, and it was a launch of DC Comics horror imprint, not the Black Label imprint. They've done it slightly differently for whatever reason, and no longer Vertigo because apparently that's not the thing. So it's the launch of its own thing. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll check that out. And again, because I like the Conjuring, I figured, why the hell not? And the cover I've got here is the variant. I kind of like the movie poster feel look to it. The regular one is actually slightly cooler artwork, though. When I share this on Instagram and social, I actually use that cover because it looks better. And I have to say, fairly early on, that yesterday when I flicked through this, sorry, not yesterday, Wednesday when I flicked through it, I did realise it was two separate stories. Totally forgot that until I was doing the reading it to review and realised I'm now going to talk pretty damn quickly to get through two different stories to review. First, I'm going to talk about those the art, because I can talk about the art in both of them fairly simplistically. It's really nice kind of style that I like. Basically, a little bit scratchy, not too worried about clean lines. Doesn't attempt for photorealism, but it veers clear of cartoonishness as well. It also is pretty damn brutal. The first one can be summed up quite nicely with the double-page spread that comes in there. This double-page spread, by the way, is immediately after a fairly clear satanic ritual. I won't say fairly clear. You've got lots of little bits of Latin put in there, and they sacrifice a goat, so you know what you're getting into there, don't you? For the second one, it actually is not quite as competent, I don't know. I mean, just look at those eyebrows on the kid in the middle there. It's just kind of like that far away from being great, or at least as good as I want it to be. And the brutality in this one isn't as obvious either. Yes, a lot of people die in it, but you generally get it kind of happening either off screen or without as much detail on it. But they're still, both of them have very effective art styles. They use what they've got very, very well indeed. The first story, though, this is the one that's actually like the prequel to, I assume, prequel to the movie. Although I'll have to really check when they're coming out, because the comic book's set 81, and I'm not sure when the movie's set. I know they're usually set in the past. So I'd have to guess on that one, at least for now. And it does something which I didn't think I'd ever agree with, which is it manages to take a way of being scary that I've seen in horror movies and make it work for a comic book. Like if this happened in the movie as well, I'd appreciate it for both of them. I'm going to show you what I mean. It's actually quite a simple thing, but it's pretty effective, which is this page. Now, as you can see there, that is just a very gradual, well, not very gradual, it's a little bit quick darkening until you can just about see something coming in there. If you're slightly baby, you'll see there's an eye there as well, while the girl sits there blissfully unaware. That kind of use of the page and the framing to show progression of time, where the other half of it is not, well, there is still time passing, but nothing changes, is effective use of comic book as a medium, and it's also just a trick I quite like. I've seen other movies try and do this kind of thing, and it works effectively. The other way it tries to be scary is by building up a sense of suspense and tension, by there being like a constant thing around the main character, which she is not aware of. Eyes, hands, sometimes even movements and noises, but she's blissfully unaware of what's going on and just carries on her life as being a student. There's actually like subplot going on, by the way. I'm not saying this is just talking about the horror kind of stuff. There's relationship and family and school and all that kind of thing. Without really spoiling too much, I'll say it's also good this came out Pride Month. But that tension, I feel, is actually is handled quite well. I think it's potentially overdone because it's only got a few pages. So it feels like it's every other page is something else supernatural going on, and a lot of the side story stuff tends to get a little bit rushed. That's just the nature of them doing this kind of storytelling. The second one handles it far more effectively. It is a little bit rushed, but it kind of knows that's what it's doing because it's going for a payoff right at the end of it. The second one, they call like a story from the vault or something, or from the hidden room. They actually have a name for it. Give me a second. I should have really checked this one. Oh yeah, Tales from the Artifact Room, the Ferryman. If you watch the Conjuring movies, you'll know the Artifact Room has all the creepy, possessed, demonic things in it. So taking one of those and running a little story on it, it's like, yeah, okay, I like that one. It also has a really cool old school horror comic book feel to it. It's a limited number of pages, and it has the like kind of twist ending that you'd expect to come up there, which weirdly there's an odd bit of foreshadowing for it, which I didn't realize until I'd finished it, which is the best kind of foreshadowing, I suppose, because it just, when the surprise comes at the end, it did surprise me. It was like, oh, that's good. It wasn't particularly scary, but I kind of feel like the point of it was more just to be like an almost gotcha kind of moment to it, which it does very, very effectively indeed. I actually had somebody just the other day talk about they like the idea of like 8-page stories in comic books as an anthology kind of thing, and I was like, oh well, if anything comes up, literally come up right now, and does it quite effectively. Are they the scariest comic books I've ever read? No, they're not. One of them doesn't have enough pages to really build up the tension the way it wants to because it's trying to do other things. But then because it's doing scariness, it doesn't have time to build up the other things either. It feels like it's trying too hard to do things without giving the space for either to be really 100% done well. The second one is, I was like, I don't think it's trying to be scary. It's trying to be like a monkey ball kind of twist, which again, is perfectly in keeping with what's going on. One last thing I want to mention before we close up this one. I know I'm a little bit over, but there's several of these fake adverts throughout the comic book, which I absolutely love because they're the only ads that interrupt the story. All the other ads at the end of the tail end of the book and the avatar stuff, which makes sense what's going on, but they do use the comic book medium to add a little bit extra to the world, and I think that's a really good idea. And I'm a minute over, but let's face it, I reviewed 2 stories, so I think you should all be okay with that. Anyway, I might get an extra one in tomorrow, but who knows? It's a Saturday. But if I don't see you before, I'll see you next week. Stay safe, everyone. Bye.